Hey guys, Patrick here. I'm a PhD student at Oxford, and in this series I share the best study tips and hacks that I've been using myself. Today's video is on how to write a grad school statement of purpose. The best way to structure the statement of purpose is to divide it into two key sections: your motivations and your relevant experiences, followed by a conclusion. You can use the timed chapters down below to navigate between these parts. Right, let's do this. Before you start writing your statement of purpose, I think it helps to actually understand what it is and why it exists in the first place. The idea of a statement of purpose is that the admissions office knows what you've done in the past that shapes the candidate you are today, and how taking this postgrad course at this university or college is a natural way forward for you because it helps with your specific longer-term goals. Since there are usually more applicants than there are places for a given course, a statement of purpose helps them decide whether this course suits you and whether they think that this course will help you with your specific longer-term goals. You'll also need to submit an academic-style CV, but that's for another video in the future. In a nutshell, the goal of part 1 is to give the reader a brief introduction about yourself and your background and how it relates to your motivation behind applying for grad school. Here are some questions that may help guide your writing. Why choose me? Briefly say what you've done that makes you a suitable candidate for this program. This is likely because you've done another degree, say a bachelor's degree, in a similar or adjacent field, or because you have worked in the fields. Emphasize your motivations for joining. It is very important to make this personal and relevant to your past experience above. For example, perhaps your previous degree has influenced your view of the world, which leads you to applying for grad school to deepen your expertise. Or even better, during your past experience, you learned that there are certain issues that are worth diving deeper into, hence further study is needed. Why this course specifically? Talk about the overall course and what specific aspect you like. This can include the course structure, maybe the course includes internships, or it's focused on research, specific professors that you previously worked with or would love to work with, etc. This should be anecdotal and specific to you. Don't repeat the course description from the university's website. Why this university? This is not a must. I actually never included this myself, and I was never asked this at the interview stage. If you really want to include it, you can talk about its good ranking, that you studied there before, etc. But unless you actually had a direct link to the university, it likely comes across as rather generic. Here is an example of the first paragraph of my PhD application letter. Just a disclaimer, this is by no means the only way, nor is it the best way to write the PhD application, but since I got invited for many interviews and got offers, I think it is at least a good starting point for you. I clearly outline my interests and motivations for joining this program. I briefly explain what I've done that makes me a suitable candidate. Feel free to pause the video here and read it in your own time. Here's some of the things that you definitely want to avoid. First, avoid poor writing and grammar. My suggestion is to give your statement of purpose to your family, friends and colleagues for proofreading. Avoid being vague and too high level. Show that you are motivated to continue studying and doing research, but there needs to be some meat on the bone. Do use emotive language, but be careful to balance it with specific, ideally measurable examples. You don't want to blow things out of proportion. At the same time, your passion should shine through naturally. Remember, this is not a standardized CV, it is a piece of persuasive writing. Lastly, avoid going outside of your word limit. They will tell you exactly what the word limit is, but from my experience, I had to write anywhere between 300 to 600 words. It is a limit for a reason, and keep your statement of purpose concise enough such that it conveys the important message without being too short or too long. In this part, you want to write about any relevant experience and accomplishments you may have that relate to the course that you are applying for. In other words, here you elaborate on your very first bullet point of part 1. These experiences can include anything from previous research experience, published research papers, thesis work, other relevant work experience and projects. Given the word limit, I would stick to talking about one of your relevant experiences and talking about it in depth, instead of talking about many of your experiences and keeping it at a high level. The reason is that the admissions office wants to know what you did, if applicable, how you did it, what the outcomes were, and if applicable, how it was received. Once again, here you want to link this paragraph to your desire to apply for this specific course. You want to demonstrate that you have the experience and skill needed that makes you a suitable candidate to be on this course. Using the same example PhD application letters as before, in these two paragraphs I discuss some aspects of one work that I think was relevant at the time. Again, feel free to pause to read it in your own time. Outline how the combination of your academic studies and previous experiences are relevant for grad school. Most importantly, you want to end your statement on a positive note and show that you are excited to join grad school and this specific course. I tend to think this is a bit cheeky, but positive way to end your statement, as it passive-aggressively assumes a good outcome.
It's nice.
Keep the conclusion as short as possible because you want to spend most of your word limit on part 2, where you discuss your relevant experiences in depth. In my applications, I split the 3 parts into the following: approximately 30% for part 1, 60% for part 2, and the last 10% for the conclusion. A statement of purpose is the story of what you've done in the past and that has shaped the candidate you are today, and explains how joining this course is the best way forward as part of your longer term plan. I used these 3 key parts discussed in this video across all my master's and PhD applications, and it got me many interviews and offers. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you learned something new from this video, please like, subscribe and share to your friends who are also applying for grad schools. Comment down below what study tips you want to explore and I will try to answer them in future videos. Thank you.